welcome. You're listening to I'm Stumped, the podcast where we take your dreams and aspirations and your questions, and we weave them into a tapestry of knowledge, which we then display for all the world to see.
Not the world, whoever decides to tune in, which is probably a man and his dog somewhere in another country somewhere. But
I'm Chris Beale.
And I'm Sean Cassidy, and I'll be Chris's co-host for these podcasts, and to answer a few questions as we possibly can. But for this week, because we've had 0 questions sent in, we haven't had any questions.
Special episode, limited edition.
Yes, where we just spontaneously answer any questions that we've found, which I think we found about, how many, 6 questions?
Yeah, we've got 6 questions this week. Questions that we've both been asked, common general questions. We've got some on student-based things. We've got some topical questions coming your way, and some more humorous ones to lighten the mood as well. So I will get the head rolling down the hill with our first question. What clubs/activities are available at university? And this one comes from my dear friend back home, and I would say that there's pretty much any activities or clubs that you could possibly want to sign up for. You know, we've got our yo-yo tag team, we've got our gravity ball team, for those of you who enjoyed it in Dead Space. We don't have that really, but
I've got no idea what you're on about, by the way.
Oh, haven't you? Have you not played Dead Space?
No.
Oh, grapple. You missed out, man. Yeah, so there's quite a few. I mean, I'm part of the Rifle Association. You know, we spit roast our kills, and we make them into burgers and then sell them to McDonald's. You get some nice squirrel burgers going there. And also, I am part of the movie making squad.
How many movies have you made?
Well, I personally haven't made any, but we've made quite a few.
Worthwhile you joining that society?
No, I mean, I spend 10 quid, so that's a good point to sort of come on to, is that a lot of people, want to know how many you should sign up for. I mean, I had this problem last year, and really, it all depends on what subject you're learning. If you're learning one that's not really very intense, then you can get away with using up more of your free time. You don't want to just be sat around doing nothing. But watch the expenses, because they can be quite expensive.
Yeah. It all depends on your free time. You've got to be quite good at time management, I reckon. Isn't that right? Because say if you were doing a course like English, which probably not got many study hours a week, maybe about 6 hours of lectures a week, you've got...
That's just unfair.
Yeah, I know you've got a lot more.
Yeah, I have 25 hours a week. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, so that means you'd probably be able to join, or you get less time in societies than someone who does English, for example. So you gotta try and organise your life in university.
Yeah, you definitely got to organise it a bit more around the amount of lectures you get, the amount of time you need to put in to revise, which is usually about the same amount of hours that you had lectures that week. Would you say?
If you did choose to go to those lectures, yeah.
If you don't just stay in bed like you.
I don't really see any point in going to like the yo-yo society when you could just be paying money for lectures. But
no, their funding is a bit up and down.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Terrible. There's a yo-yo blight going on at the moment. They're not getting the funding they need, so
budget's on a shoestring, isn't it? Something like
well, this is just getting we've taken a turn down Yo-Yo Joke Alley.
Yeah.
Let's veer away from that and get on to our second question. which is when should I apply for accommodation? And this is a bit of a controversial question. Some people say that you should apply as soon as possible. I, on the other hand, think that you should apply not at all, and that you should just turn up and use your books as a house. If you don't get a place, I mean, I'm sure you will. I mean, it's not like they're going to overfill the rooms. I mean, it also depends on what year you're in.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a lot easier to get accommodation in your first year than probably your second year and third year. When did you apply for your accommodation this year?
Oh, I contrary to my advice, I applied like as soon as I could. But you know, you gotta have some people that don't apply at all. You know, to leave room for those of us that apply first. Otherwise, you know, everyone's contested over the rooms. You don't get the room that you want.
No, I agree.
So what about in our second year? What we doing now for our accommodation? You're in charge of that.
If I'm in charge, we're going nowhere. But for the second year, apparently some people I've heard they've applied for the accommodation. They got it all sorted before Christmas. So the recommended time for you to apply for accommodation is probably sometime around February. That's what they say. That's when
Really?
that's when they say to apply.
Really? Yeah, because I mean, if you apply before Christmas, then you know, agencies will know that people are trying to get houses before Christmas. It's a good idea to get into, you know, a group of people that you know that you want to be in a house with. You know, don't split up with any of your friends over a house, obviously, but you know, try and get a house with, you know, a good few of your mates. But don't go for a Christmas, because that's when most people do, and they'll charge you more around that sort of time.
Yeah, you don't want to go to a house with people you don't really get on with or you don't like. So I think the trick is to go with a student accommodation service that you know you can trust, that aren't going to mess you around or give you a accommodation or house, and you realise you get there and the heating doesn't work, the doors are falling down, the windows are broken.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a good idea to a general thing that you should always check is one that you've got a nice shower. You know, one that you can sort of sneak a quick peek of any lady friends you have taking a shower in there. You're going to make sure that the doors and windows are well secured, so you know you don't get any of your stuff nicked. And you've got to make sure that you know you've got no rusty, blood-stained sheets or knives or dead bodies anywhere. That's always my first thing on my list. Oh, and zombies. You know, you've always got to be careful. You know, the agency's always just trying to sneak them under the floorboards, so you don't know they're there. So keep an eye out for that, guys.
We actually live next to a crematorium. This is where this audio is coming from, next to a crematorium, and that's not really a very enjoyable sight.
No, well, we have to board up the windows at night. You know, we can see them clawing their way.
What, from the crematorium, when they'll be made of ash?
Yeah,
something,
you know, sort of dust clouds come after us.
What, a pile of ash tries to claw its way into the building.
Yeah, we choke. I can tell that this conversation has died.
We just lost our.
So we completely lost our way.
Right, well that music means it's probably time for the topical section of the show, and I've been looking through the papers and I've found an article. It's about the student protest, and the headline: Police release new images of petrol bomber, and it shows a hooded figure seen throwing a Molotov cocktail across protesters. And this was in December with the student protests and riots in London.
Yeah, I heard about that. That must be getting quite an expensive habit, being a bit of a petrol bomber. You know, with the rise in petrol prices, it must be like quite an expensive way to voice your opinion, really. And but by the look of his clothes, it doesn't look like he has too much money.
No. I love the way this on the show's the picture. He's like a black hooded figure.
Is he wearing a hood?
Yeah, he's the hooded figure that we see him running down the road.
Do you reckon that's his superhero name, the hooded figure?
I wouldn't know. But
Because by the look of the picture, it looks like he's running faster than the speed of light, because everything's like blurred around him. Either that or the person who took the photo was really, really bad at taking photos.
maybe he's just running away from the petrol station where he forgot to pay for the fuel. I don't know.
Quite possibly.
But
So remind me, what are they protesting about?
it was the rise in tuition fees, which will come into place in, I think it's about 2012 or something, where universities can charge up to about £9,000 a year for students to come study. And what are the prices now? Like £3,500,
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, like for example, I've got a few cousins, and if my second from oldest cousin starts uni this year, then she'll get in and only have to pay what we're paying now. But if my youngest cousin gets in next year, or in the subsequent years after that, then she has to pay 3 times more for the same education, with the same tutors and everything. But the only reason that the unis are charging more, it's not the uni's fault, but it's because all their funding is being cut by the government. It's been cut by 80%, and they have to make that up by a rise in student fees.
Yeah, you didn't actually go to any of the protests in London, did you? No.
No, I signed plenty of petitions. I more than once. You know, any excuse to get my signature down. But it's good for a good cause. So if you see any petitions coming around, or that, you know, just show your support.
Yeah, but the only way to get noticed nowadays, though, is to protest and maybe cause a bit of a stir. A piece of paper is not gonna make much difference when it comes to making decisions and stuff like that. But in the news as well, there's also the story about the guy that threw the fire extinguisher off the roof.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
No, this guy, one of the student protesters, decided to throw a fire extinguisher off the roof, and into a crowd of other protesters.
That's stupid. If he's protesting the same cause, it's like, I hate the way the government are using my money, so I'm going to kill people who think the same way as I do.
But
that's just making our student population even smaller. Surely that's just giving us a bad name, the students.
yeah, and he got caught in the end. He's been sentenced to, I think it's about around 2 years in juvenile
Prison.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that didn't end well for him.
No. Well, I mean, it seems that the establishment will go to any lengths to crush our student spirits.
By the looks of it, that fire extinguisher seems to be needed on that picture in the paper.
Yeah, with the petrol bummer who obviously, you know.
No, they could have used.
You know, if he has enough money for petrol, then he has enough money to pay this extra student. No, I'm just yanking your chain. It's not good at all. And if we get enough followers, then we'll definitely put up a petition along with everyone else to support. Well, I mean, they've already decided they're going to put them up, but I mean, just still like a student strike or something.
If we get another 100 followers, I'll throw a fire extinguisher off a roof.
Oh, we'll have to hold him on that, guys. If we get 100 followers, you heard it here first. Sean Cassidy will throw a fire extinguisher off a roof.
Should we move on?
Yeah, so that concludes the news. Really, you should say that, but we'll go with that. So
well,
that's
that's the end of the news.